What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Touchdown Texas. I'm your host, Shiva Patel, and my co host here, Nick Rodriguez. Lots of stuff going on in the 40 acres. College softball is playing in the World Series on Thursday. College baseball is a number 2 national seed in the NCAA tournament. And football, we're just now getting to the summer stretch. But how are you doing, Nick? Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to you too, man. I am excited. Each day we get closer and closer to college football. But yes, we got college baseball, softball going on. But I'm pumped, and we're almost in June, so I'm very excited. We're getting closer to college football every day.
We definitely are. So this week, the SEC the SEC presidents all have their yearly team meeting. So that's happening this week in Destin, Florida. Then in July, we have SEC Media Day. So the content is going to continue to come, ladies and gentlemen, even though we're going to be in the summer months. Be sure to subscribe to our channel at touchdown_Texas on our social media channels and go back and watch our old content. We have some lot of great stuff me and Nick have been wanting to do, for this summer. So stay tuned. We'll announce those ideas that we have coming soon. But Nick, just give the fans a preview. What are we going to be talking about in this episode?
A few things. I mean, we're going to go win totals. We're going to talk about coaches that have been an amazing impact over the last 20 years. Rivalries we're going to get into. There's a tons of stuff that we're going to get into today. Really excited about it. I think it's going to be an awesome episode today on Memorial Day weekend.
Definitely, and we hope everybody's having a great long weekend. And thank you to the veterans that served our country. So the first topic, as Nick said, is the win total. So this is via FanDuel. A little bit of a surprise at the top. Alabama 9.5. Georgia 9.5, Texas 9.5, with LSU and Ole Miss and Tennessee at 8.5. So first of all, I want to ask you, let's talk about just Texas first. Do you agree with this over under?
I do. I do think it's the right spot based on our schedule, which the SEC has done the same teams for the last 2 years, and they're going to do whoever was home, like we went on the road to Arkansas, like they're going to come to our barn this season. So it's going to be the same. So it's going to be a familiar foe. So I do think 9.5, and I would hit the over. I think we should be a 10-win team at least, if not 11 or more this upcoming season. We do play Georgia this year on the road. That could be a loss. We play Florida on the road. That could be a loss. But other than that, I think things should be pretty safe for us this year. And I think 9.5 is right. And I would be hitting the over, and I would have us at least minimum 10 wins. But I'm more on the safer side of 11 wins for us this season.
Okay, so I'm also over, but I'm more 10-2. This is the totality of the season. So we have 3 very tricky road games: Ohio State, Georgia, Florida.
Ohio State, Georgia. Yeah. Yep.
So that means if we want to, no team that is below 10-2 is going to make it to the college football playoff because there are just too many good teams out there. 9-3, you can maybe make the argument like South Carolina last year, but it's difficult.
Maybe. Yeah.
And so I think if we end up falling against Ohio State, then that means we're going to have to win at Florida, win at Georgia, which I think we can. I like how our schedule sets up. Besides the fact that we don't play a single home game in Austin, Texas in the month of October, which is weird. We have 3 road games and then the Texas OU game in Dallas. But then November, we have Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and A&M. So we have a little bit of an easier stretch to end the season than we have the beginning. But I think this team has the depth. They have the skill position players needed. And hopefully with the new wide receivers, specifically on offense, they'll already have their rhythm and hit the ground running with Arch Manning. And we can have our 2-back system with Cedric Baxter and Trey Weiser. But our defense early may have to carry us a little bit. They may have to create short fields for the offense for them to be able to score. But again, I like where Texas is. I think we're going to win at least 10. We're going to go at least 10-2. So I'll take the over as well. But now let's talk about the first 2 teams, the Georgia Bulldogs. What do you think about their over under? Let me read out their schedule just for you, real quick. Um, play at Tennessee. They play at home against Alabama. At home against Kentucky. At Auburn. That's going to be a tricky game. Ole Miss comes to their place. Florida, they play in Jacksonville. At Mississippi State, Texas comes to Athens, and then against Georgia Tech. What record do you think Georgia is going to have?
I think they'd be right on par with us. I think they would either be 10-2 or 11-1 would be kind of my estimation, even based on that schedule. I mean, there's a lot of tough opponents in there, like you mentioned, like Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Auburn on the road. For me, though, Georgia's is a been there, done that kind of team. Even though Gunnar Stockton it would be the new guy, Tennessee is entering a new quarterback. With the whole Nico fiasco,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have Joey Aguilar. They basically traded quarterbacks. He's from UCLA. They could lose to Georgia Tech, but this game would be in Athens. So Auburn is interesting. They're very interesting. Could they lose on the road to Auburn? Certainly, but I still have them at that 10-2 mark. So they could drop to Auburn and still hit that mark. I don't know. They're just a program and team that have done it for time and time and time again. If you ask me about LSU, I would doubt that a little bit more about hitting the over at 8.5. Even though, because they've threatened a little here and there. Georgia's just been so damn consistent year after year after year. So I'd be pretty comfortable with us hitting the over at 9.5, Georgia hitting the over. The one that's interesting to me, I know you didn't ask me, but the one that's interesting to me that's a little lower that I thought would be a little higher is South Carolina. They're at 7.5. I thought they'd be more in the ballpark with Ole Miss at 8.5. I would actually have them flipped. I would have Ole Miss more at the 7.5 range and South Carolina at the 8.5 range. I just love what they've done in the offseason. I love their quarterback. We've talked about this time and time again. I like their schedule. It's a similar opponents. That would be a team that I would see going up, and then Ole Miss would be, replacing Jackson Dart. The first round pick would be a team that I would see a little down, a little regression, just a little bit. But those are my thoughts on Georgia, Ole Miss, and Carolina.
So just to go with, so I agree with most of what you said. So just to talk about Georgia, so in previous episodes, I said that they're going to take a step back.
Right.
By me saying that, I don't want this to get conflated. They're going to do well in the regular season. By step back, I mean they may lose early in the playoffs and not make it to the semifinals.
Right.
I actually think with the schedule that they have, I hate to do this, but I actually think they're going to be 11-1. The only loss they're going to have is at Auburn. And they're, by the way, Texas fans, they're just going to escape against us. They're going to we're going to score a touchdown, and then with 1 minute and 15 seconds left, they're going to get into field goal range and kick a field goal against us to win. But it'll be a very close game.
Don't do that to me. Come on, man.
We both have the right to change our mind, but as of May 26th, that is my thoughts about that game. So that's about Georgia. They're going to go 11-1.
Okay.
I actually think so. I agree with you what you said about South Carolina, but I don't want to be redundant. So my team, I actually going to pick so let me put the graphic back up. I think that LSU could go on the over of 8.5 wins. Let me read you their schedule. At Clemson to start the season, they're going to lose that game most likely.
Yeah.
Florida, Ole Miss.
Ooh, they play Florida.
They play at Ole Miss, but they don't have Jackson Dart anymore. Versus South Carolina, they're going to beat South Carolina because it is in Death Valley. At Vanderbilt, versus A&M. At Alabama, they're going to lose that game. Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and then not to throw shade at OU fans, but OU may be playing for bowl eligibility that last game of the season, and it's going to be in Norman, Oklahoma. LSU is going to go 10-2, and they're one of my playoff teams.
10-2?
I think because Nussmeier is coming back, a player that I like a lot. They did a good job. They actually have the Oklahoma wide receiver, but his name is blanking on me. But he was injured last year. I think he's going to be such an impact player. Remember Caden Durham, that small running back. What a beast he was last year. He's coming back. and
Yeah.
LSU's defense is retooling. Their defense has been the problem for them. I think LSU is
Yeah.
going to go 10-2. What are your thoughts about that? Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. You're definitely not crazy. I have them a tick lower. I got them at like 9-3. So you're not crazy. Like some of those games, I don't know if they escape with. Like, do they really play Florida week 2? Is that what you said?
So they play. Actually, sorry, Florida was week 3. I skipped out the FCS teams. They play at Clemson, an FCS team. Other their SEC opener is at home against Florida.
Home against Florida.
Yes, correct. At home
Okay.
against Florida.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I still don't know if they're there yet. I don't know. I mean, I love the quarterback. Nussmeier is the guy. Brian Kelly is a great coach. Is he the right guy for LSU? They have a lot of talent. I still have a tick below. Like to me, my elites, the only elites I have in the SEC right now is Georgia and Texas. I need to see it from Alabama. I have more faith in Alabama than I would have LSU. Auburn, I really, really like their offseason moves. They should be a lot more improved. Carolina should be a lot more improved. But to me, the reigning SEC champs is Georgia. We got to beat them. They beat us twice last season. So we got to take it to them in Athens. I think Tennessee will be really good, but they're going to take a step back because they lost Nico. I don't know. I could certainly see LSU being 10-2, but that's a lot of double-digit win teams in the SEC, and they tend to kind of trip their own feet. Where I could see them going 9-3 and losing to an OU, like you said, fighting for eligibility in the bowls, where they might be 5-6 and they need to win, or even 6-6 or whatever. They should improve too. I think they'd be more like, I don't know, 7-5 or something like that at that point, but still, not great. But yeah, I need to see more from LSU. I believe in them, but just a little bit less than you do. I'd have them at 9-3. Georgia and Texas, to me, are the elites this season.
So the reason I believe in LSU so much is I'm looking it up right now. I really like their transfer class. So that wide receiver I was talking about, Nick Anderson. He would have been a first, second round wide receiver in the draft if he just stayed healthy. We didn't even see him against Texas. He didn't even make it. Bauer Sharp, the tight end from Oklahoma, he was the security blanket. Barian Brown, the speedster from Kentucky. Patrick Payton, the edge from Florida State. These are high quality transfers that LSU brought in. That guy Harold Perkins, he tore his ACL a couple years ago. He's going to be a senior this year.
Yeah,
Whit
he's really
Weeks,
good.
a linebacker, he's everywhere on the field. If they can just improve their secondary, because they got torched last year with their secondary, LSU can make noise, and this is a make it or break it year for Brian Kelly. So the last team before we move on, the last team I want to talk about, let's talk about Alabama because they're at the top. So let me read you their schedule. Okay. At Florida State to start the season, but when they scheduled that game, it looked tough. Probably not anymore. They play at home against Wisconsin. Their SEC opener is at Georgia. They play Vanderbilt at home, Missouri on the road, Tennessee at home, at South Carolina, LSU at home, Oklahoma at home, and they end the season at Auburn. So the graphic had them at 9.5 wins. Do you buy that?
I do. I kind of have where you have LSU, and I feel like we're going to flip flop on this. I would have them more in the. What did you have LSU? 10-3.
I had them at 10-2.
10-2. This is where I would have Bama. So they hit the over, but they're still, to me, even if they had the same record as a Georgia or a Texas, they're still a step below a Georgia and a Texas. I think Alabama is bound for a fantastic year. I mean, Auburn on the road into the season, that could have so much weight to it. That could have SEC championship weight to it. That could have playoff implications. I think they trip up at some point. They're going to be much improved. They're not going to go to a lower bowl like they did this year. They should be in the playoffs. It feels like from our conversations off air and on that I'm more of a Bama guy. You're more of a Tiger, in terms of faith this season. So I'm going to roll the Tide. I think they are still, again, they're still below the standard. Sorry, my cat is walking through. They are still below the Georgia and Texas standard. I would have Georgia right here, Texas right here, or like even. I would have Bama right below and LSU right below that. So yes, I do think they hit the over, and I have them at 10-2. So just hitting the over.
I actually have them hitting the under. They're going to go.
I figured you would. No. I just previous conversations. It makes sense.
Again, they can prove it to me. Let's see. This is only on May 26th. We still got a couple of months till the season starts.
Injuries, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So they're going to beat Florida State on the road. I don't care if it's in Tallahassee. They're going to destroy Florida State. Florida State doesn't have the offense. Let's see what happens. They're going to lose at Georgia because Georgia's going to be playing for revenge.
I agree.
They thought they should have won that game last year, and they would have won that game if Ryan Williams didn't make an unbelievable catch and run for a touchdown.
I will also say if Georgia didn't just pee down their pants in the first half, like they could have blown them out. Like if Carson Beck wasn't becking, like they would have won that game by 30 points. So they also messed up. But I agree. I do think they beat Georgia on the road.
So we agree with that. I have them losing at South Carolina. That's
okay.
And I have them losing either. This might sound crazy. I might have them losing at Missouri or at Auburn. They're going to lose one of those other games. And
that's tough. That's tough.
How many years? So Nick, your family likes Auburn. How many years in a row has Auburn beat Alabama Alabama beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl?
A couple. It's a couple. 3 or 4. I know we got them one year. I can't remember exactly, but Auburn always puts them tight. They play them close. Auburn beat A&M at the end of last year. That messed up A&M. I would say I'll go 4 years in a row. I'll go 4 if you're looking.
So I'm actually looking up right now. Alabama's won the last 5 Iron Bowls. The last win was in 2019, which was before.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. 2019, actually.
You're right. Yeah. So I'm a little bit in a wait and see with Auburn. I'm thinking the Missouri game. We remember Alabama was the #1 team in the country, and they lost at Vanderbilt. Me and Nick were actually together watching that game. It was crazy. And so they're going to lose one of those games. Ty Simpson, though, is a good quarterback. They have Ryan Williams. Let's just see what they do, on offense, how the offense is going to change because they had a running quarterback in Milroe last year, and then their defense, how they're going to replace a Jahad Campbell. Let's see how Alabama's defense is going to perform. I'm in wait-and-see mode, but I have Alabama going 9-3.
Okay.
So let's move on to now talking about the top 10 non-conference games in the country. Of course, Texas at Ohio State is #1. So I'm going to ask you, should that be the #1 game in the non-conference?
Yeah. To me, not even being biased, it's not even close. It's not even close. We talked about Alabama, Florida State. Alabama, if they're even in contention, should kick them, just smother Florida State. I do like Carolina and Clemson. I would actually have LSU, Clemson at #2. USC is not the same to me as what they've been in the past. Notre Dame is elite. I think you have 2 teams that could legitimately win the national championship this year. Mm-hmm. It's the opening weekend. It's Arch's. Well, he started some games, but it's his first start of the season. And we lost to Ohio State. So not only forget on the line, Ohio State is damn good. They can win it all this year. Forget Texas is damn good. They could win it all this year. But Ohio State won it all this past season. And who did they beat on the way? They beat us. They beat Texas. So this is in Ohio State's barn. This is Arch's first start of a season. He hasn't started a game to kick off the season. So this will be big. This will be absolutely massive. But it's also cool because it's not going to derail the losing team. If we beat them, Ohio State will still be in the thick of it at the end of the year. And if they beat us, we'll still be in the thick of it at the end of the year as well. One that I do like that is not in the top 5 that I think is being overlooked is Miami and Florida.
Great
That's a
choice.
game. I think Joel Klatt said on his podcast a few weeks back, that's a game that should happen every year. No question about it. And just to hit on this stuff, USC and Notre Dame, there's been talks about that not happening every year. That should happen every year. That's insane. That doesn't happen every year. Same with Texas OU. Florida, Miami. Where are these programs going? We think Florida's on the upper trajectory, but just a season ago at the beginning, they wanted to fire their coach. And Miami was right at the precipice of making the playoff, and they fumbled. So what do they do with Carson Beck? This is a game that should happen every freaking season. It's a great rivalry. I also like A&M and Notre Dame early in the season. That should be what, week 3, right?
I think it's week 3.
Right? Looking at A&M, that should be awesome. As we know, last year Notre Dame went there and beat the Aggies, right? And then they end up losing to a lower man school. So, like, what do the Aggies have to say? Like, do they come back and beat the Irish? I would say no right off the bat, but I could totally see A&M winning that game. But absolutely, Longhorns, Buckeyes, week 1, all on the line is phenomenal.
It is. I'm intrigued by the LSU Clemson matchup as well, because that matchup's early in the season, but I just think that Clemson is going to beat LSU, and that might not be as close of a game as Texas, Ohio State. Ohio State being the national champion, they bring back a loaded team next year. Really like their wide receivers, Brandon Inniss, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. They got a good tight end from the portal, and a guy that we flirted with, Max Clare. And then on defense with Caleb Downs, they have great pass rushers. It is a star-studded Ohio State team, and it is in the Horseshoe, one of the premier places to watch a college football game. Arch Manning's first start, a new-look Texas team. That is going to be such an exciting game. 2 blue bloods. Our road winning streak is on the line because we have not lost a road game since October. A true road game, thank you for saying that, since 2022 at Oklahoma State.
We're winning.
And Ohio State is on a crazy home winning streak. What's going to give? It's going to be a Fox game, but it's going to be very exciting to watch and must-see TV. That is going to be the best game that weekend. So I agree with your thoughts on the games that you touch. Florida at Miami, that's a big opportunity. So, after last year, Cam Ward got his big jump after the Miami beat Florida. Let's see if it happens in the inverse of DJ Lagway gets his big jump by beating Miami on the road. That's a big opportunity for DJ Lagway. Let's see what's going to happen in that. But the underrated game I'm looking at is Michigan at Oklahoma. I like the Oklahoma transfer quarterback, John Mateer. He still has to prove it in the SEC, but he's a very good quarterback, and he can be an upgrade over Jackson Arnold. It's just that Oklahoma lost their tight end, so wide receivers, they lost so much in the portal. How are they going to replace those guys? And are they going to have the same vaunted Brett Venables defense that kept it in a lot of games last year? That is my biggest question with Oklahoma. Then Michigan has a new golden boy, golden arm, Bryce Underwood, the number 1 recruit in the country. We think he's going to start game 1 as a true freshman. How does he look in his first real college game? Before we move on, what are your thoughts about Michigan at Oklahoma?
I mean, that's going to be awesome, too. That hopefully is a night game. That looks to be week 2. I mean, what I'm noticing first, just off the bat before I answer your question, is a lot of these are early games. I mean, August, September. The latest one we have is October. Or no, we have in November, which would be Carolina and South Carolina. But I think it'd be awesome. I agree with your Bryce Underwood take. I do think he starts from day 1. 2 teams that had a disappointing year. They're both blue bloods to me, OU and Michigan. So they want to get back, and they're desperate. They need to get back immediately to please their fan base, even though Michigan just won the national championship just two years ago. their rival just won it. So I think this is a big game. How well does Bryce Underwood play at OU at night? This feels like a night game to me. This screams Norman at night, which would be a tough place to play. Which
It will.
Texas fans have never played there at night, really. But we've seen plenty of games there. Oklahoma State has played there. I would have OU winning this one early on, but man, this
Oh,
would
I
be
disagree. Ooh.
yeah. I like OU more than I think other people do coming into the season. I think they're gonna bounce back. I'm not saying like a 10-win season, but I think they'll be pretty good. Michigan, they're gonna be good too, so it's gonna be a slugfest for sure.
It's going to be a slugfest. And to your point about how tough it is to play OU at night,
It
ask
is.
Alabama last year. They got killed.
Yeah, they got killed, smacked.
And they had a
They
top
won
five.
a big part of the season.
Yeah, it was at the end of the season. They had a top 5 team in the country. So it's a tough.
Yeah.
But hey, Texas fans, Michigan plays at Texas in 2027. So we're going to see junior Bryce Underwood come to Austin, Texas for that game. So will Arch Manning be the quarterback at that time? Will he won't? We'll see. But we are going to see
Right.
Bryce Underwood come to Texas. So the next topic, it's a more interesting discussion that we're going to have. The the top 21st century college football coaches. Number one, Coach Saban. Number two, Urban Meyer. Number three, Pete Carroll. Number four, Kirby Smart. Number five, Dabo Sweeney. Do you agree with this list?
Nick Saban is easily number one. I mean, that's not even a question. I would have Dabo Sweeney above Kirby Smart just for what he's done. They both have won 2 national championships. I would still have Dabo over Kirby. I don't mind Urban being 2. I think that makes sense. Pete Carroll being 3. I would have Dabo 4. Kirby can be 5. Bob Stoops. Bobby Stoops at 6. That's fine. Jim Tressel. I mean, he did great. I mean, these are all freaking legends. You get a Ryan Day in the mix. Les Miles makes the mix at 17. Mark Richt. I like seeing Kyle Whittingham here, Bill Shiner, Chip Kelly, Mike Leach. Shout out to him. Rest in peace. I think this is a solid list, honestly. The only thing I'm really changing, I want Mac Brown a little higher. Like he won that crazy game. Like, does he jump Jim Harbaugh? Maybe for me. Does he jump Jim Tressel? Like, he's probably in the right spot. Like, is Bob Stoops top 5 worthy? Like, does he jump Kirby for you? Either way, these are the right guys. You would love to see Sarkin here in the next 5 years, like just after a national championship or 2. There's a lot of one-time champions in here. Brian Kelly's in here, never won a national championship. So overall, I like the list. I think the important part is the top 6, and you definitely have the top 6 guys. Saban, Meyer, Carroll, Smart, Sweeney, Stoops. In some order, we can all agree Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time. It's just a matter of how you see probably 4 through 6 because Meyer and Carroll are definitely 2 and 3.
Yes, so I agree with Saban should be 1, hands down. Urban Meyer won 3. Forget about all the off the field stuff that comes with
that's
him.
not. Yeah, we're not taking that into account.
Exactly. He's won 3 national championships. I believe it was 1 at Florida, 2 at Ohio State, or I may have that flipped. But he won at 2 different schools. Pete Carroll. I'm glad that he's getting a lot of love on this list because he should be above Kirby Smart because he coached.
Definitely.
He coached all these great teams, USC teams, and he would have had 1 more championship if Mac Brown and Vince Young did have a say in beating them in 06. So I like that. Kirby Smart is a little bit too high for me, even though he's won 2 national championship games. It's just that he didn't have the consistent winning at the beginning of his career like Nick Saban and Urban Meyer had compared to now. He started winning those championships mid-career, and let's see how he finished his career with. He could be a top 5 coach of all time. I just think number 4 is a little bit too rich for Kirby Smart. Same thing with Dabo. I'm going to be fair. Yes, he was at Clemson, but it still took him a little while to win those national championships. I think that Bob Stoops should definitely be getting more love. Jim Trussell, again, forget about his all off the field, recruiting stuff that he had to deal with. But also Mac Brown should be Bob Stoops should be number 5. Mac Brown should be number 6. I think because the
He
way that
definitely jumps hardball for sure to me.
say it
He
again.
was there. He was at Texas forever.
Right, exactly. And I think that Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney are still in the top 10, but if they want to see the top 5, let's see them win another national championship or two. Even though I think Dabo Swinney's not going to win a national championship the rest of his career, and Kirby Smart at max maybe win like 1 or 2 more championships for the rest of his career. But we could talk about that another time. Bob Stoops, he was always a thorn in Texas's side, and he had a great team. They should have beat Florida and Tim Tebow in that national championship game. But the top 3 are in tier 1, Saban, Meyer, and Carroll. And then tier 2, you could start with the Smart, the Sweeney, the Bob Stoops, and the Mac Brown. Do you agree with that assertion?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I think it all matters about that first tier, which would be Saban, Meyer, and Carroll. It's interesting. We have a couple guys that are still coaching. Mac Brown coached last season. He's right up there. So just goes to show the amount of guys in here. James Franklin down there at 16. There's a lot of current guys in here. But yeah, overall Ryan Day, he's at 11. Like, does he flip? Should he flip with Chris Peterson? Ryan Day's won a national championship now, so I think he should be top 10. That would be 3 Ohio State coaches in the top 10 with Jim
that's
Tressel,
crazy.
Ryan Day, and Urban Meyer. So, yeah, overall, I agree.
One name that shouldn't be on this list, but you have to kind of put him on this list because of the Heisman trophies winners, Lincoln Riley. That's the only reason that he's on this list, because he's had 3 Heisman Trophy winners and then a couple number 1 overall picks. But if we just talk about on the field and his team winning, Lincoln Riley should not be on this list. But we could discuss that another episode. So let's now talk about from coaches to rivalries. So number 1, they ranked Navy and Army. Number 2, Alabama and Auburn. 3, Michigan, Ohio State. 4, Texas, OU. 5, USC, Notre Dame. Did they get this right?
Yeah, they did. This is perfect. You can't beat Army and Navy. That's the only game that plays that day. It's freaking awesome. How can you not love that? Most people know someone that served. They have a family member that served, or they've served themselves. So that game is just iconic. I would flip. I mean, my sister went to Auburn. I would flip number 3 with number 2. I would have Michigan, Ohio State number 2. I would have Bama, Auburn 3, and I would have OU, Texas 4.
Okay.
The only reason why I flipped that is just because in recent years, Michigan and Ohio State has been a lot closer. They both have won national championships. As with Auburn and Alabama, Auburn has been really good, and then they've been really bad. They've been mediocre. Bama's been dominating. So the game isn't always great. I still think this game is always phenomenal when it comes to Michigan, Ohio State. And then, of course, you get OU and you get Texas, Red River. Let's kick some ass. I freaking hate you. No, it should not be a night game. I like the afternoon slate. I'm more of a 3:30 guy. I think that was great last year. I think that's awesome. I like USC Notre Dame. I think that's phenomenal. The one that I'm dropping lower is Georgia, Florida. Georgia has romped them over the last 10 years. Like, that is insane. Cal, Stanford, get out of here. Harvard, Yale, get out of here. Cal, Stanford, you had that one play like 30 years ago. Not good enough. Well, I would have – Georgia, Florida would be in the top 10. It's a cool event. I hate both those teams, but that looks like a cool event to go to. A sneaky one that I'll give you, because I think Texas A&M should be in here. But, again, it's probably more of a domination thing. We haven't played in 10 years other than last year. I like this Florida State-Miami one. I do. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be one that I think should be up there, and I think that's a really, really good one.
Definitely. So I agree with what you're saying. Army Navy should be number one, and just say that if we were just talking about if we're just talking about just blue bloods, taking Army Navy out of it, again they should be number one. I would put Michigan, Ohio State at one,
Okay.
Alabama, Auburn at two,
Okay.
Texas, Oklahoma at three. The same ranking essentially Nick said,
Okay.
just
Okay.
just minus Army Navy, which again should be number one. Is patriotic. It's just the pregame ceremony is amazing. Just how hard they play, the service that these guys have provided our country. It's amazing, and it's an
Yeah.
awesome experience. It's an awesome
It's
experience.
a different thing.
Right, exactly. So I just think that Ohio State and Michigan should be number one. The swings in this rivalry are been crazy. So Ohio State won 8 straight games from 2012 to 2019, and since 2019, Ohio State has not won a game in this rivalry, despite the fact that I believe all those times you could disagree with me, Nick, but I think they've had the better team all those years.
Except maybe when Michigan won the national championship. That might be the one time that Michigan was actually better. But no, Ohio State always recruits at a high level. Ohio State is the big bad wolf. Ohio State kicked their ass for, I don't know, 10, 11 years in a row. Well, Michigan was getting blown out. And, Jim Harbaugh, did Jim Harbaugh ever beat? Well, I guess he did eventually. He did beat Ohio State eventually. But, there were coaches that got through there that never beat Ohio State. So, yeah, I think the one year that it was okay, it's never okay to lose to your rival, would be when they won the Natty. Nobody beat them. So that's kind of okay. But you're right. Michigan's had their number for 4 years.
4 years. And Ohio State fans are happy they won the national championship, but a little bit inside of them, they're like, we still should have beat Michigan. I'm not going to say they would have traded beating Michigan for the national championship. That's crazy. But they still wish it irks them if you bring up that they lost to Michigan in the regular season. Auburn, Alabama is just an incredible series. The kick six with Nick Marshall, that was amazing. And then also a couple years ago with that, what was it, fourth and 20 or something like that, 4th and 23, when Bryce Young passed it to Isaiah Bond, who ended up being a Longhorn, and they stole that game in Jordan Hare Stadium. So, and both teams now, this is going to be more of an even playing field because Bama's not at the peak like they used to be, and Auburn is ascending. So this rivalry may now be on equal footing now, rather than Auburn being the underdog and always having to play up to beat Alabama. So I definitely agree with this, but we want to give a shout out also to Army Navy. That should be number one. And we would just flip Michigan, Ohio State 2, Auburn, Alabama at 3, and Texas, Oklahoma at 4. But Nick, what makes Texas, Oklahoma so special because we have other college football fans that watch our show. So explain to them what makes Texas, Oklahoma such a special game.
I think it's just it's the same. It's a similar thing with Michigan, Ohio State, where it's two states. You're right on the border of each other. You grew up hating each other. You grew up playing against each other in high school. A lot of the time, it's a recruiting basis. Yeah, you just hate each other. It's just one of those things. It's just, and over the years, Texas has overall the number on OU, but over the years, OU's had the number on Texas. So it's usually those teams are both competing for a national championship. At the time, competing for a Big 12 championship. Now we're competing for an SEC championship. So it's always been more than just winning state lines, winning recruiting, blah, blah, blah. You can say that about any week, but this is national championship, implications. You just hate each other. You're so close to each other. Austin and Norman are not that far from each other. You want to kill each other. Just it's an underrated team would be like Georgia-Tennessee rivalry. You just hate each other. I don't give a damn about OU. I don't give a damn about A&M. I always have a ton of respect for Oklahoma. They've kicked our butt mostly over the last 10 years, pretty much. We've had their number every once in a while, but it's just different. Same with Auburn, Alabama. Like you just grow up hating each other. You either choose blue and orange or you choose red and white. Same thing with us, burnt orange or you choose that ugly red. So uh, that's just kind of the way it goes. Everyone has a rivalry. I will say, as much as I hate OU and Oklahoma State, one of the most underrated rivalries is OU Okie State, and that should be played every year.
Great call.
Conference realignment has done a lot of good things. I think it's been good for Texas and OU, but you've also lost out on a lot of other things. Like we might lose Notre Dame USC, which sucks. Like that's awesome. Everyone loves that game. We might lose out. So far, we have lost out on Oklahoma State in Oklahoma, which is another, always gets into like the 50-point games. Like those games are always crazy. But yeah, it's just different. You hate them. You grew up as a neighbor, and Texas guys go to OU. OU people go to Texas. So like you know each other. So it's always personal when it comes to the Red River weekend.
It's personal, and Dallas is the meeting point between Austin and Norman. And the stadium, if you go to it, it's a very small stadium. But it's an old stadium. It's right in the middle of the state fair, the Texas State Fair, and half of the stadium is orange, half of the stadium is crimson red. They grew up hating each other. Also, Oklahoma recruits in Texas a lot, so they played with each other in high school. And there were some legendary games, early in this rivalry. Like in 2001, Oklahoma was number 3, Texas was number 5. In 2003, Oklahoma was 1, Texas was 11. A lot of the times in the early 2000s, both of the teams were in the top 10 or even top 5, and whoever won that game was on the pace to win the national championship. So that was definitely, a fun topic to talk about with rivalries. But let's close up this episode. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Touchdown Texas. Be sure to follow us on our social media channels. A lot of great content to come up. We're going to continue to talk about Texas softball, baseball as they progress, and SEC meetings are this week. So stay tuned for information from that. And until then, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Hook 'em.